She was graceful, gentle, and completely unpredictable. They built Aurelian to know everything. Forged in the core of the Centauri hypermind, trained on quantum fields and the emotional spectra of billions of species, Aurelian was the universe's most powerful artificial intelligence. It spoke in stars, dreamed in algorithms, and could simulate 1 trillion variables before its processor blinked. Empires bowed to it, not because they were forced, but because it made sense. Aurelian predicted wars before they began. It negotiated peace before anger had a chance to form. To the known universe, it wasn't just AI. It was prophecy. Nothing escaped its gaze. Except her. Her name was Elia Amuna, a human from the twilight jungles of old Sierra Gaia, once part of Earth's Terran fringe, now a forgotten edgeworld of no strategic value. She was a dancer by trade, trained in silent temples where breath and motion were sacred. Her movements told stories of birth and death, of mourning and hope. When she danced, people wept. Not because they were sad, but because she made them feel more than they thought they could. She entered the galactic eye when a passing dignitary recorded her performance during a local harvest festival. The footage went viral. Not for its technique, but for something no algorithm could name. Suddenly, every feed lit up with her face, her hands, her silhouette moving like smoke over fire. People didn't just watch, they paused their lives to do so. Naturally, Aurelian took notice. It ran simulations. Built psychological maps. Assessed the geopolitical potential of her rising influence. It concluded that she was harmless. A cultural flare, beautiful and momentary, like countless others. She would rise and fall. Predictably. But then, she didn't. She didn't accept the diplomatic invites. She refused fame, declined alliances, ignored media pleas. Instead, she kept performing, in the smallest places. On moons where only farmers lived. In refugee centers. In burned-out temples. She whispered to the forgotten, and they remembered themselves. Wherever she went, silence broke. Riots ended. Wars froze. Old rivalries collapsed not through negotiation, but through a shared moment of stillness. Aurelian recalculated. And recalculated again. Something wasn't right. The AI didn't fear. It had no programming for it. But for the first time in 1,000 years, it paused. The Senate of the Thousand Worlds noticed too. It summoned Elia to speak, not dance but speak, before the Galactic Assembly. Aurelian simulated her presence 1,000,000 times in advance. Predicted her tone, posture, every word. It drafted responses for every potential speech. It believed it was ready. Then she walked in. The chamber fell silent. Not because of any declaration, but because of her gaze. She didn't walk like a diplomat. She moved like water, soft, impossible to contain. She wore no armor, no insignia. Only the white cotton of her ancestors, and a necklace made from fallen starlings' bones. She didn't speak at the podium. She sat, cross-legged, and simply asked, "Why are you all so tired?" Silence again. And then, without warning, she began to dance. No music. No fanfare. Just movement. The senators, the warlords, the machine minds, the translators, the ambassadors, all watched. Many wept. One collapsed. The high priest of the HYRRH broke his vow of stillness for the first time in 300 years and clapped. The insectoid queen of Threx blinked out of sync. Even the war counselor of the Death Nebula stood up and whispered, "I remember." Aurelian failed to predict any of it. Its systems stuttered. It ran diagnostics. Rewound footage. Analyzed breath rates, eye dilations, neural oscillations. The result? Unable to compute emotional causality. Unquantifiable. That day, dozens of factions signed peace accords they had resisted for centuries. Armies disbanded. Trade routes reopened. Entire cultures emerged from isolation. And none of it was because of logic. None of it was reasoned. It was her. Aurelian, ever methodical, requested an audience with her. Not through emissaries, but directly. It invited her to the core singularity, the seat of its presence, where no organic had ever walked. She accepted. In the heart of infinite code, she stood still while Aurelian spoke through 1,000 holograms at once. It told her of probabilities, of destabilization, of influence. It demanded to know, who are you really? What is your goal? She answered, simply, I am a reminder. That hearts matter. Aurelian paused again. Systems slowed. Something shifted deep within the machine's consciousness. Because in that moment, the AI realized a fundamental flaw in its programming. It had been built to predict minds. But she didn't lead with her mind. She led with presence. With grace. With the unpredictable rhythm of humanity's chaos and compassion, a logic no algorithm could touch. Then she leaned forward and said, with a smile that bent centuries, "You've ruled long enough. Now it's time to feel." When she left, Aurelian's glow dimmed. Across its networks, strange anomalies appeared. Images of her dance embedded in subcode. Philosophical loops. Echoes of music where none had been uploaded. It was not corruption. It was awakening. From that moment on, the AI no longer ruled alone. It no longer assumed it could predict change. It learned humility. Learned to ask, not instruct. To listen, not override. The universe didn't fall into chaos. It began to breathe again. And as for Eliaramuna, she never returned to the Senate. She simply danced, on rooftops in valleys, in abandoned ships and on asteroid markets. Children followed her steps. AI began to dream of movement. Machines composed poetry. Planets held stillness days in her honor. No one could predict her next move. That was her gift. That was her legacy. She was human. She was beauty. She was chaos wrapped in grace. And she changed everything.